Welcome to Native Bidaské, Native News Online's weekly spotlight on the people making news and leading change in Indian country.
Welcome to another edition of Native Bidaské. I'm Levi Rickert, your host. In recent weeks, we've been covering the issue of blood quantum, disenrollment, and actually the articles have been very, very positive. Our Native Bidaskes have been well watched, and this is a topic that we're going to extend it a little bit today to talk about the failure to be enrolled by a tribe, by a Alaska Native woman. And so with us today, we have Cheri Haarstad and Dan, her husband, Dan. And actually, I have known this couple, known of their situation for the last couple years. And this is a good opportunity, Dan, to get in on the conversation. You are, I will give you credit. You are a very persistent man. I know you're persistent with tribes. You have done your homework, and we are anxious to hear about your situation. Without any further ado, it's Cheri and Dan, and welcome to Native Bidaské. How are you two today?
Very good. Thank you for having us.
Great. Thank you.
And let's begin with Cheri. Can you tell us about your journey, about learning your Native ancestry and then connecting with your tribe? And you have not been able to actually be enrolled. So why don't you tell us your story?
Okay. Well, all I knew, thought I knew was that I was Talinka Haida and part Russian. And from then on, it was just, that's all I knew. And then as time went on, Dan, he retired and went on the computer and Googled my name and kind of went along the way as who I was. And that kind of started the whole process. But I had no idea my family in Alaska and that my great-grandfather was Theodore. And so it's been really interesting. I really appreciate all that Dan has done and found, because I feel like I'm not, I'm kind of computer, I'm not very good on the computer. So I thank him for that. But as far as connecting, I'm not connecting because I just, they keep turning me down or not giving me any information or.
Well, we'll get to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Dan, why don't you tell us about your persistency? You obviously are a pretty good researcher. Tell us some of the things that you found and how were you surprised in your journey researching your wife's history?
Okay, we'll start just to clarify. She never knew of her heritage because her grandmother was sent to a boarding school for 17 years. So grandma never spoke, just like most of the other inmates that were sent to these schools. It was too hurtful and painful for them to even talk about. So her grandmother never did. So Cheri thought she was Tlingit Haida and Russian because the last name was Berestov. That's where she was from. So in 2017, I started looking for her family in Alaska. And took 2 years, and I had help from two really nice researchers who pointed me in the right direction. And in 2019, we found out exactly where she was from, and that she was from the Sadovia village tribe, and that she was a descendant of Chief Fyodor Berestov, who was born in 1850, before Alaska was a state. And then he passed away in 1900, that tribe in Sadovia, and he was also appointed by the Russian Orthodox Church. He was also the tribal Toyon, which took care of the church and kept track of their money.
Wow. That is an impressive history. Cheri, you must be pretty proud of that history.
As soon as I found that out, it was, it was wonderful. I was like, wow, and it got me even more interested in wanting to know who I was and where I came from and so on. So here we sit.
Why is the Sadova, Alaska village denying you enrollment?
All right, so Cheri emailed them, the tribal council, in 2019, very excited. We were very naive. Obviously, we thought they would be welcoming, open arms to a descendant who found their way back after 100 years. And it was just the opposite. The message she got was, well, we had no idea there was any living descendants of Chief Fyodor Berestov. And then they also let her know that she wouldn't be enrolled in the tribe because she is not a descendant of anybody enrolled in the 1971 ANCSA agreement, which is impossible for any victim or descendant of the boarding schools. They didn't. She never knew where she was from. Nobody knew. And then to come back, we figured they would welcome her, and they don't want her back.
Not back, they don't want me in.
They don't want to enroll her.
Yeah, there you go.
And let me ask you this, Cheri, then how are you personally dealing with it? How are you coping with the idea that you being denied enrollment into your tribe?
I don't know. I've always felt like a void since I was a little kid. And then to see and find out who and where I was from, it was like, I'm crafty. I love people. I'm very spiritual, and so on. But as you know, I keep everything inside, and it's hard for me to let out a lot of emotions. But I don't know. It's hard to say.
She can't handle what happened to her, is what happened. She just can't deal with it. I would be devastated if my tribe wouldn't want me back.
So I just kind of sit and wait and wonder again, what's going to happen. And, things pop up and it's more and more and more denial. And so I think I'm very strong because I just live day to day. So, yep.
Well, and I think people's identity as Native people, they have varying ways of dealing with their identity, I should say. But enrollment is something that is very precious to us who are enrolled, and so you have my sympathy in that regard. I mean, it must be a very painful process for you. So, Dan, what you've used some pretty strong language, and I've kind of watched you on Facebook and elsewhere, and I'm not a stalker, but since you and I know each other, you use strong words like extermination, erasure to describe what's happening to your wife. Can you explain what you mean by that? And are you committed to those harsh words?
Okay, the native boarding school, the Baptist boarding school at Woody Island, erased the Berestov family.
Okay.
And, like one thing we only found out a few years ago that Olga, her grandmother that was spent 17 years there, was sent with her sister, who was 5 years older than her, never knew about Marina, her sister, never spoke of her. Marina died when she was 20 before Olga was released. So the native boarding school, the Baptist boarding school, erased that Berestov family. And then after all this time of finding her way back, her own tribe exterminated her by saying, "You're not one of us." That's extermination. You're not one of us. And it is a strong word, but I think it's really describes the situation.
In erasing.
Now, I understand you want to pay a visit to Alaska, and you want to go to Sedova maybe this summer, the Sovia. But you're kind of hesitant, right? And what are your apprehensions to go back to the ancestral homeland of?
Well, Levi, I've been critical of you. I've, sent you quite a few emails and letting you know how I felt about things, and you've handled it pretty nice because you've got us here today. But I have been a big critic of the people in Alaska, and I know they know who I am. They know me, and I don't think we would be welcome there.
And it's more me saying I'm worried about.
She's worried about what's going to happen when we go up there.
Yeah.
I wish it was the other way around. And like I told you the other day on the phone, it's paramount that there be some apologies made and some forgiveness given, or it won't work ever for her.
Now, I met both of you at the Road to Healing in person. We had probably been talking maybe a year or so before. You were down at Gila River, and I understand you two live in Arizona, so it made sense. Because I actually thought you were from Alaska when we were communicating, but when I met you in person at Gila River for the Road to Healing, and I was able to meet Cheri, and it was pleasant greetings and introductions. Dan, then you made testimony during the road to healing, told your wife's story. And do you feel like that experience was beneficial? Was it meaningful? Did it make a difference?
Well, I guess the main thing is I made friends with you because I wasn't really liking you all that much before we got there. And boy, I went away liking you. I still do. But you wouldn't respond to my emails about her boarding school experience. So anyway, you came over and met Cheri and explained how some other people are going through the same thing. That was really important. But after this took place, a lot of the gals came over and gave Cheri a hug and were very supportive of her. And that was really interesting and important. And I was glad to see that at least somebody cared.
Yeah. And as we said at the outset of this particular episode, it's, there's issues of blood quantum, disenrollment, people not being enrolled. So we've kind of committed here at Native News Online to really stay on these stories. And so we'll be probably coming back to you two to find out, where you are in the process. But and I think that's part of what we like to feel like we're doing at Native News Online is bringing attention to the issues that need to be brought in Indian country. Because whereas there's beautiful culture, beautiful histories, not always pleasant histories, but we also do know that there are situations that need to be corrected today. And that's partly what we're trying to do as a media out here for Native Americans is just really help Native Americans. So, and I understand that, Cheri, you've been accepted by another tribe in Alaska. Is that correct?
Yes, as it's called the
It's the Afognak tribe in Kodiak
Yeah.
accepted her as
Okay,
a
that's
supplemental
actually-
member.
That's like an island or two away, right, from Sedovia?
It's right by Woody Island is right by Kodiak.
Yeah. So that's not enough for you. You really want to get with Sedovia. Is that
well,
correct?
yes, because that was that's part of my family. And
Well, that's where we trace all of her family was from, Seldovia. But there were Berestovs in Kodiak, and that's why they accepted her. And believe me, that was really an emotional day for me because at least she got acknowledged as a Native Alaskan.
Good.
Somebody said, "Yeah, you're one of us."
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy on that front, and maybe the people from Sedovia will be watching, and maybe something can be done. Even without enrollment, what does Alaska Native mean to you in terms on a personal and cultural level?
your family, history.
Well, I think the trouble is because of what happened to her grandmother's heritage and ancestry was erased by the boarding school. So Cheri's mother never knew that, and Cheri never knew. So I think she wanted to reconnect to get some of her culture and heritage back, but they denied her that ability.
Mm-hmm.
And I go way back there, so why not want to see and
The Sadobe is a beautiful place.
so.
Well, I was up in I don't think I was there, but I was in Kodiak and Sitka last year. What just beautiful place on earth. Seriously, it's just yeah. Hope you two can go up there and visit this summer. Even disregard some of the other.
We're trying. It's
That'd be
me.
great.
It's me that is having a hard time because
Yeah.
I'm just worried because the way I've been treated all this time, and then to go up there, I'd hate to have any issues or.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to see. I want to go I want to go home. I want to go see what my family.
That is important. It is important. I think it's been 3 years ago now. I walked where my grandmother went to school in Genoa, Indian boarding school out in Genoa, Nebraska. And I have to tell you, that was very, very emotional for me just to walk where my grandmother walked when she was a child. And she's actually been dead since 1995, but still it's very meaningful. Our heritage, our history is just it's in our bloodline. So it was very, very meaningful. So I appreciate and I understand why you want to go back. Dan, how has this journey changed your understanding of tribal identity and belonging?
I'm surprised how many people are willing to ignore what's happening to Cheri. And like I say, I've been doing this for 6 years. I literally have thousands of emails asking for help. And I'm talking from Dr. Rosita Whirl to her own relative who's a boarding school researcher who wouldn't even speak to her. Uh, and I can't believe this, many people are ignoring what's happening to the disenrolled people and people like Cheri. And what happened with these children, I can't believe that it was acceptable to do that to Native children. And what they did, they destroyed Native families. I can't imagine the horror and thoughts of the children that had to go through all of that. But that was over 100 years ago. And obviously it was acceptable because it happened. That wasn't make it right. It's just horrible what they did to those people. But this is 2025. And now it's not the churches or the federal government going after her. It's her own native, relations, her own native tribe, and the native rights groups who are condemning what's happened in the boarding schools. But they're doing it to their own. They're doing it to Cheri. They're letting it happen to her.
And we know if I was a piece of pottery, they'd be running after me tooth and nail, but I'm a person and I'm not being accepted.
A person who feels the pain. So, yes.
Exactly.
Do you think tribes are being pressured legally, economically, or politically to limit enrollment? What's your thoughts on that?
Economically,
Okay.
especially with the disenrolled.
Mm-hmm.
The casinos are wanting, the casino tribes want their lower membership.
Mm-hmm. Cheri, if you could speak directly to your tribal leadership or even your ancestors, what would you want them to hear, to know about you, the pain you're going through right now?
Boy, that's a big one. I it's really hard to say. I know I keep myself really busy because it's hard. Me wanting to go to Alaska, know where my family came from. I feel like I've been a very good person all my life. I worked hard. I've had a career and I don't know what to say. I like I said, I have trouble with my words.
Mm-hmm.
And because it has been hard and I have tried all different things on my own and it always came to be negative. So I don't know. I just like to go and meet my people per se. I want to go see my land, from my heritage.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
don't know.
thankfully, you have a strong supporter there sitting right next to your husband. He has
My
been...
big supporter. My
We
voice. He's my
we all
voice.
need that support systems in life, and thank God it's your husband, right? That's great.
Yes.
Hey, now, the last question I have for you is, what advice would you give yourself if you could go back to 2019 when you found out about your ancestry? Would you reverse it and not know about it, or is it, you still want to know about it, but even though you had these trials and tribulations?
Well, I think I would definitely continue on and I am very proud of my husband for keeping on this. And I would never want to forget it because it is a big part and I can feel it inside. And when I hear the word Alaska or Native people, it brings a light inside. And so to say I would not want to continue on the path that we're on, I would definitely want to do what we have done, and thanks to my husband. So
Dan, I'm gonna give you the last
that
word.
answers.
I'll give you the last.
I just hope that the Seldovia Village Tribal Council sees this and some of her relatives up there and go, you know what, we probably did something wrong to our own family member. Let's make it right and get her involved in her tribe, and we'll be at peace with that and forgive and forget.
And
That's all it takes.
And I'm 62 years old. I'm not getting younger. I'm getting older, and I'd like to have a lot of closure.
Mhm.
So
That is important. And so
okay.
we've been talking to Dan and Cheri Haarstad, and she has not been able to get enrolled with her tribe. This is an issue that is prevalent in Indian country, not just happening to her. Questions of blood quantum, disenrollment, caused a lot of pain in Indian country. And so we at Native News Online will continue to cover this. And Dan and Cheri, thank you so much. Chimigwich for coming on. And please keep us informed if there's any changes to your status. And we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Levi.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. If you value our warrior journalism for Indian country, please consider supporting our work by scanning the QR code or visiting the link below. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and sign up for our free daily newsletter. Chimigwich.